everyone. Welcome to another episode of One and Dunn, filmed at NAMM 2026. Today we have the special honor of talking with Denis Kosiak. Denis is an engineer, producer, Grammy-winning producer, and he is one of the Record Plant grads. So welcome.
Thank you
Denis.
for having me so much.
So you've worked with Khalid
Yes.
and Julia Michaels, and what other artists would you?
I've worked with Jelly Roll. I've worked a little bit with Noah Cyrus. I've worked alongside other producers who have worked with Morgan Wallen. I feel like so many Alicia Keys a couple times. All sorts of people, all sorts of fun stuff. Justin Bieber a couple times. Yeah.
Is there a particular style of music that you like working with most, a genre?
A particular genre, no, but I tend to find myself in the same two genres most of the time, which tends to be like pop R&B stuff and then country adjacent pop. It tends to, like, the formative stuff that I did was in that zone, so I feel like I'm just doing that all the time for the most part.
Okay. So you came out of the record plant, and we were talking earlier that for those of you who don't know, the record plant was a machine. And there are so many people in the industry right now who went through the record plant. So can you talk a little bit about that experience and why it was so special and how that made you what you are today and how your work style and all that?
Sure. Record Plant is or was one of the like last large format studios in Hollywood, and it was extremely high pressure when I first started there, working under Rose, and it was a very it's hard to really describe the place without being there, but it had 5 rooms in that facility. They were all large format, and every single day was like down the hallway was a giant artist in every single room. It wasn't like, oh, it's a brand new artist, I've never heard of that. It was monolithic, huge artists. Like one room would be Alicia Keys, the next room would be Pharrell, the next room would be Snoop Dogg, and then another giant, like pretty much everywhere there was just a giant artist camp going on. And the experience of starting there was just having a lot of expectations from all the way at the bottom of your responsibilities and duties of like, can you clean a bathroom well? And can you maintain a facility well? All the way up to, can you calibrate the machines and can you like make sure that a studio session runs well for like high level engineers? So, starting at that bottom level of like, okay, cleaning, and then people would check your work and that sort of thing. And they'd be like, well, you did an okay job, but like it could be better. And then you're like, okay, like you work on that. And then you kind of like build that foundation of excellence through that facility. And there was a lot of high expectations coming through there.
Rose
to do
standards.
That. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Who was the first artist you worked with there?
First like artist experience, like being in the room with, or actually like being paid to work with?
No, being in the room with.
Being in the room with was Pusha T, who's like a rapper. He was part of this group Clips. And that was just one afternoon, just got very fortunate to just kind of watch that go down. But yeah, it was with another record plant engineer who was in the room, and he was cutting them, and he was like, okay, cool. You can just watch and make sure everything doesn't break and like will work. And yeah, and I was like blown away at the time. I was like, this is like the most famous person I've ever seen in the room, like work. This is crazy. So first time seeing like a real rapper with like real jewelry on and really coming to like work and be focused. And it wasn't like your stereotypical rap session with a bunch of like posse and a bunch of like crazy stuff going on. He came to the studio, worked, did his thing, and was like, all right, thanks guys, I'm out of here. And I was like, whoa. And that was not a good example for a rap session for the rest of my life, but very highly professional. So yeah.
So I would think going into a situation like that, you'd be afraid of screwing up.
Oh yeah, I had
being uncertain what to do.
I had extreme nerves, I'd say, for the first couple of years of doing that, where you're like in the room taking care of the artist. Like I would not only get nervous around famous people, but sitting down at the computer to record famous people, I was like I'm gonna mess up. Like I was like a choke artist for sure for a while. So it took some time to build the nerves of steel, working with people in a high pressure situation to get comfortable to be able to drive the ship per se,
Right,
and
right.
do that. So yeah.
Okay, so what do you think is the most important quality to have as a good engineer, and not necessarily skill wise, because you could probably find a room full of engineers that are all skilled, right? But what's that extra that's going to get people to call you back?
Well, there's a couple of things. Being good and being fast. I mean, there's a lot of people who are good and fast and
Right.
talented. What, in my experience, changed for me once I started getting freelance opportunities was being personable enough with the artist and connecting with them while they were working in a way where not only was I good and fast and able to do the actual ability and the skill, but by making them feel comfortable and almost in control of their own session, and being able to communicate with them like, hey, like, do you want to share your phone number with me so I can send you the updated, like I'll edit a little bit and I'll be able to send you the updated bounces of the song.
Right.
And that was a way where it was like rapport, and it was like
Right.
a one-on-one. Okay, I'm like talking to this person now, and they're not afraid to communicate with me. I don't have to like liaison through management and like
Right. Yeah,
all
which
this
can
stuff.
be really hard.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, it's different, I think, for like older, I don't want to say older, but just a different generation of artists who are older than me, and they do that sort of thing. Like, oh, can you talk to my manager? Like, oh,
Yeah.
talk to this person, and then like it'll get into my schedule and like do that whole thing. But a lot of the younger kids, they just want to like, yeah, take my number, like I'll text you whatever, and
Right.
they'll hit you at midnight like, yo, can you send an updated balance of like this thing like right now? And you're like, okay, cool.
Let
But
me
like,
get out of bed and go do it.
yeah, so there's that. That's the takeaway, I guess, on the not so great end of it. But it's also how you build rapport with these artists, and
You're developing a trust relationship, right?
yeah, and it's not so much work. It ends up then crossing into, now you're connected as friends too.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. Now, have you ever worked with artists you don't like?
Of course.
Okay, so how do you get through those sessions? Of course.
Yeah, of course. How do I get through them? Well, sometimes, a lot of times when you do these sessions that you're working with someone that you don't like, it's always the notion that you're going to be seeing each other again at some point.
Right.
Or there's somebody else in the room or somebody who recommended you for the job. You're going to run into them again.
Right.
So the best thing that you can do in those situations is like control your emotions and be the coolest, biggest person. So that way, once it's over, they're not like, oh, dang, like working with that dude sucked today. Like, I don't know what was off, but it just wasn't connecting. Like,
Right.
You can just have fun knowing that it like sucks, but there, like, I don't know how to explain it. I think I'm just personally fearful of being unenjoyable in the room because I'm not that type of a person. And so I always want to be like, I know I'm going to run into you eventually in like 6 months. So even though this sucks right now, like I'm just going to remember this for what it is.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I tell people all the time when they're coming into the industry, you have to be nice to everybody because it's such a small industry. So some guy who's emptying your trash cans might be your boss.
Oh, absolutely.
In another few years. So, you have to do that. So tell me what it's like to, what have you learned from working with an A-list artist in multiple roles?
So working with Khalid in specific, I mean, that's been multi-year.
How did that develop, that relationship?
We met at Record Plant.
Okay.
But we met through Marshmallow, we weren't like working so much, but we had met at other studios while I was like running and assisting at Record Plant. I would like, as soon as I was off, I would have to go to this other studio, and somebody was like, hey, can you help with this thing? It's paying, $20 an hour.
You're just getting paid, so that's good, right?
Yeah. Well, I was like side hustling basically. And so I built rapport with him as like a side hustle. And then he ended up coming into the studio to do like a DJ, like an academy, like learn to DJ type of video, and was like booking the room for that. And was like, hey, like this singer Khalid's going to come by the studio tonight. Would you be down to help out? And I was like, yeah, of course, dude. You only have the room for like 3 hours, but yeah, let's do it. So met Khalid that way, and that was an example of like getting his phone number and building rapport and that sort of thing. But doing things with him over the years in different roles was always very kind of open ended, because there's some artist situations where like things are very clearly like there's certain people who are like, you have to do this person's doing that, and this is your role and that's what you're doing. And thankfully, and I'm very grateful for, with Khalid, there was a lot of building of trust and building of friendship and relationship. So it was like a lot of it came from just friendship and like being around each other. So I ended up like, he asked me to go on tour with him basically after I met him with Marshmallow. And so we were like sleeping on the same tour bus, you know, eating breakfast, you know, like not showered at the venue, just like feeling gross. So there was a lot of like, you know, humanity level type of thing going on. Not so much like, hey, I'm a A-list celebrity and you are like a person who works for me type thing. So I was always very grateful for building of that relationship. And he was very genuine for, you know, bringing me around in a lot of places in his life, like birthday parties of his or taking me to dinner or doing that. So by doing that, there was like a lot of trust, and being around his management all the time, being around people in his life, just different opportunities would come up and they'd be like, hey, like we need somebody to mix this song like today. Like, or else we're not going to get the movie placement or whatever. And it'd be like, okay, send me the files. I will mix this on the tour bus right now. Or like there's been 6 producers who have taken shots at production at this today. And we like certain elements of all these, but like there's nobody who can like just go through all this and figure it out and work with Khalid directly. So then it'd be like, okay, I'll do it. Like send me all the stems. I'll sit with him and we'll finish the arrangement and we'll do the thing. Or, you know what I mean? Just like certain things just based on proximity and my relationship to him. That's kind of how things happen. And then like somebody hears a mix that you did for him, or somebody hears about something going well, and then you just keep building from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it make any difference in the music outcome having a close relationship with the artist? Does anything change musically when you're working?
Sometimes. I guess in theory it can, but it's kind of hard in the moment when you're doing it because there's no way to really know if it's like one way or the other.
Right.
I'd say there were, at least with him, like it's kind of hard to say because there's been so much time that I've spent with him. But there's been other artists where it's like, you know, just based on your role, you have no idea if like you're actually close, or like if they're actually being truthful about what they're talking about, or if they're just playing character or whatever. So, yeah, that's a hard one. It's hard to really pin that down and know, like, hey, am I really making this experience more genuine and better, or are we just like doing the journey together type thing?
Yeah.
You know?
So, it seemed very competitive in this engineer producer world right now, and it doesn't seem like there's tons of work. So, where for young engineers, people just getting into the business, where do you think they should go? Where it's going to be, where they have a chance of breaking through?
I think the reason why I was curious about Record Plant to begin with was just because of all the stories that I had heard about like opportunity. And even though it was a difficult road to go through and that it was a challenge, it was always like, hey, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of cool people that come in through there. So if you can get in there and then you can like fight through it, you know, there's a lot of benefit. So I think for young kids, or at least people that are trying to get into things, I think the hardest thing to change for kids is what you have access to geographically, and like where you're born, where you've grown up, and what you have access to. And if that means like, hey, I'm living in North Dakota and there's no studios within 50 miles, how do I get into the business?
Right.
And it's like the first thing that you should do is not make yourself geographically challenged. Go somewhere that's a major market, or there's a lot more musicians in an area doing stuff.
Nashville, Miami, New York.
Yeah, go to a major
LA.
market. Yeah, or if it's overseas, you know, go to South Korea, go to Tokyo, go somewhere, go to London, go somewhere where it's a major market of people making music, and find out where the most competitive places are and where all the coolest stuff is happening, and try to position yourself to just get in. Just fight for getting in and being helpful, whatever that means to be helpful. Because if you're spending a lot of time working on, small music stuff in a random town, or you're working on small artists in a big town, you're never going to be able to really like work your way up. You're going to constantly be hitting the ceiling. So I think if you can get in above your head and stuff that you're definitely not qualified for, but start at like hey, how can I help and how can I like do something? I'll literally wrap the cables or I'll go grab lunch for everybody. Do that at the highest level and like find out where the opportunity lies so that you can grow.
Do you think there is any replacement for having something like the record plant for today? And
There's no real replacement.
I'm not talking about, having to be in that studio environment, but just that whole learning process that you're able to do there. I would just think you would learn so much doing that. And how do you learn now? So if I'm coming in the industry right now, I want that experience.
Yeah, where do you go and what do you do? There are still other studios, of course. Like that wasn't the only studio. There are some studios that you'll go to and you'll be like, yeah, it's pretty chill, like there's nothing to really do. We just kind of, like answer the phone and yeah, that's it. And those are the types of clients that are there too. You realize that they're like not really doing anything, and then you're like, oh, okay. So trying to find studios or places of musical activity where it's high pressure, there's high intensity going on, there's like the highest level of stuff, just trying to find that. And then outside of studio world, it's kind of hard to pin down, but there's been so much growth in social media since I came through the studio world, and just being able to like hopefully DM someone or be like, hey, I've been working on this thing, I'd love to show you. Like there are people who listen. I don't listen so much as I should to people who send me stuff, but there's that participation route. There's getting in person and helping people. I just think if you're young and you're coming up, like do your research and be a student of the game of like, there's music publications who are like, hey, this person got promoted to president at this label. This person's a new like touring agent for this band. And the information's out there and you can see it and you can find it just on your computer, versus back in the day, it'd be like the magazine would get dropped off once a month.
Yeah.
So, and of course they're like the people who get these opportunities, they all have Instagrams and they have LinkedIns and stuff like that. And they have friends. So there's ways that you can like kind of find access routes to like, hey, this person's doing a lot of great stuff and they have opportunity. I want to run errands for them, or like I want to like help out. And then just by proximity, you'll find one thing that leads to the next, and it's like Frogger. You're like trying to find the next thing while you're coming up without getting knocked over.
Right.
Yeah.
How important do you think social media is now?
There's varying levels. I think the participation of social media becomes somewhat necessary at some point, where you're like, it's good to be involved in community and to build rapport with someone like yourself, or there's other creators where it's like, it's just good to be connected and to be creating things. I think that's why we all get into this, is because we're all looking for like, I like hearing these stories about these people and I like creating and I like the idea of doing this. So I think it's like natural to want to do that and to be a participant, and especially like in the industry.
Right.
And then there's like the uselessness of social media too, which is like, yo, bro, we gotta like connect and like make some beats sometimes. Like it doesn't do anything for anyone. I'm sure it has at varying levels or whatever, but there's the allure of social media where, you're filtering down stuff and you're showing people your highlights.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot of, it's your highlight reel a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So if it's important these days, I don't think it's like the most important. I think it's a piece of your journey where it's like, if you're making music and you're building rapport with other people and you're able to participate in a lot of ways where you're like, I'm firing on all cylinders. I I can do everything. Like, I think that's important to like kind of add to everything that you got going on.
Okay. And where are you working right now?
I'm working in Mar Vista, which is close to Venice Beach. I have a studio there that like I have a mix room there that I built this past summer. Yeah, I've been loving it. It's the West Side.
What kind of gear do you have in there?
Right now, PMC monitors. Those are my guys. That's the main thing. That's why I'm here today. I'm going to go speak with them. I have a lot of Fern, DW Fern stuff. I have Quad 8 stuff from the 70s. I have so much stuff. At this point, I'm trying to get rid of. I have stuff on consignment in case anyone needs a B3 organ. I have a B3 organ on consignment. I have so many toys, but I'd say the main highlights are my PMC monitors, my Fern equipment. I have a Lynx interface and a lot of custom furniture that I had for my studio. Like I have like a nice custom desk and a little custom rack that this guy Jesse built for me, who's a really talented carpenter. And yeah.
Okay. So at your age and your level, what's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge at this stage in the game is I feel like you get over the first seemingly hump of your career where it's like, I just need to get like behind the glass. I need to get like in the room. Like, what does it take for me to just do this stuff? And then that hump is kind of, you're like, all right, I'm in here, but like now I can just do this for forever and like I'll die and nothing changes. But like now it's like, okay, I would like to have some meaningful success where people hear the music that I'm working on. So you strive to get on better projects and do all that. So then you do that once. And then I feel like now I'm at the stage where it's like, okay, I've done it once, but what does it take to continually show up for meaningful music and to be the best in terms of putting your best foot forward? Like, I want to also be compensated, but I also want to work on the best music.
Right.
And I think where I'm at in my age group, it's hard, not necessarily hard, but you have to focus a lot on distinguishing your taste in what you work on.
Right.
Like, this is stuff that I actually really like, or I really like these people, and I actually really like the experience of working on this music, and it's being fruitful to my life and my career. And trying to mitigate the stuff that creates stress or makes you unhappy, and just being like, okay, based on my life and my taste, I can now find the music that is most rewarding to my career.
Yeah.
Myself.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. We're running out of time. So last question for you. For people coming into the industry or just have gotten in, what's your biggest tip for them?
For people who are just starting out, my biggest single piece of advice is don't be selfish. Just try to help people and just try to like not be in it just for you. A lot of the times it's a service-based industry. You're going to want to help people. You're going to want to make music to help people. And that's probably why most people get into music anyways, because you haven't experienced listening to music and you're like, hey, I want to like share the experience that I found of like listening to this record in my bedroom as a kid. I want to do that as an adult. I just want to like be a participant in this as an adult. And you don't do it for money. You don't do it for like, awards. You don't do it for being cool. You just want to do it because it's actually enjoyable. So do stuff to help people. Don't do it for your own heroic cause that nobody cares about anyway. So
I love that answer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And let's wrap it up for our NAMM 2026 episode.